Constitutional Court's currently sitting to hear a rescission application or set-aside application by Jacob Zuma to have that contempt ruling set aside and his conviction and sentence set aside. And the country, or parts of it, certainly in 3 provinces, are burning, all in Jacob Zuma's name, but in vain, it would seem.
Well, and I know you've spoken to many of the many legal experts this morning, and we did on Friday as well. What's their take on whether the violence that we're seeing in the country, the looting, the protests, will that have any effect on the Constitutional Court's decision on whether to withdraw the prison sentence for Jacob Zuma?
Absolutely not. And as that gentleman in the car said, you know, Ramaphosa must just make this all go away. He must just let Jacob Zuma out. That's not how democracy and justice works. Ramaphosa, the president, does not have jurisdiction over the courts. There is a separation of power. As we know, and this is not a decision that he can take. Well, we do have reporters stationed all over the country today, especially where there is looting and complete, it would seem, anarchy in parts, as the police are not able to take control of the situation. We're going to be crossing now to 2 of our reporters who are on the ground in Johannesburg and in KZN. Aviwe Mtila, let's start with you first. Good morning to you both. Aviwe, where are you? What's going on?
Naledi Mall is the 4th shopping center that's been totally ransacked by community members of Unrest. That's where we currently are at the moment, and I'm sure you're seeing the visuals, Annika. People still coming inside here to come clean out what's left of the mall itself, but it has been totally ravaged by the community members here. And in fact, the roof itself here has been burning from 1 a.m. Till about 3 a.m. So it's a cat and mouse that's currently happening between the police, South African Police Service, and some of the community members here. From time to time, the police do come here, but the community members run away, and when they start to disperse the police, then they continue. The Capitec that you just saw is one of those ATMs that's been totally cleaned out. This is a ShopRite inside here that, as you can see, community members are taking what's left of it. Essentially, you can see the shelves totally empty at this moment as the community members of Unrest still continue, the young and the old, still continue to clean it out completely, what's left of it, because the majority of the goods here have already been ransacked. I just want to go outside now and show you just the extent of the damage here, which we heard was also happening as the evening was going along. From about 12 a.m. till about 3 a.m., they even burnt the roof itself. It's one of 4 malls, Annika, that's within a radius of 500 meters. All of those 4 shopping centers have been totally cleaned out. In one of them, where we got the Gold Shopping Center, there were 4 arrests. We moved on to the next one, which is about 100 or 200 meters away from it, where we saw about 20 people that were being arrested at that time, laying face down on the floor. The roof of Naledi Shopping Mall, as you can see, still even on fire at this moment. The aftermath of what was happening in the evening here. There is security personnel which the community member don't take seriously much. They only take the South African Police Service when they come in here. But there was even a butcher at Meat Express that was just clearing out what's remaining from his butchery, putting it in a bakkie and then going away. Even pharmacies are essentially being ransacked, cleaned out at this very moment. People still walking in casually, like there's nothing wrong, as this particular pharmacy has been cleaned out. It's actually filthy if you were to look at the floor itself and the filth around here. As those lootings continue, you see that it's clear elements of criminality now. It's gone away from the protests and what it was meant to be protests of in Gauteng. Unrest totally ransacked the majority of the shops in and around here, Annika, as you can see.
And I see children actually taking part there, and the looters not even being worried about being seen on camera. The situation is just so out of control. Let's go to Dessen now, who's in KZN. Dessen, tell me what you can see. Where are you? What's been happening?
Well, Annika, we are in Mandeni, and just I'll apologize that we might be moving around a bit because that's the nature of the story. You'll see some police officers that are now walking around this mall. What's happened here is that during the course of the night, there was a lot of looting that took place. The doors were broken down for these shops that are around us here. And now, during the day, many of the community members who have seen the opportunity are now trying to get into those stores. If you look around you, there's a game of cat and mouse being played with police. Some of them have their guns that are loaded with rubber bullets. Others are walking around with sticks. And that's just how outnumbered they are here. But that's not to take away anything from the police officers that are actually working here on the ground, because we've seen for ourselves that they are making an attempt where they can. In some cases, they are just purely outnumbered, and there is really nothing that they can do to stop what's going on around them. We'll move a little bit closer to this area here. We've noticed that people have almost gathered their items and they've collected it into certain spots, some really big items as well. We've seen people come through with vehicles like vans and load items at the back, stoves, fridges, and whatever else they are able to. If you go into the neighboring community around here, people are walking with anything from mats to bags of rice or whatever they could find, not only from inside the store, but also out here. Goods are just lying out in the open like this. It's really become a free-for-all for everyone that's living in this area. And it seems that police don't even have the luxury here of calling backup, because they are stretched across this region, and this is just one part of the North Coast.
That's what I'm going to ask Aviwe the same question, but how many of these people seem to be legitimately in support of Jacob Zuma? We know they've resorted to sheer acts of criminality, but how much of Jacob Zuma's incarceration do you think was just a catalyst for people who were thoroughly disenchanted with life in lockdown in general and poverty?
Annika, the age group that you see here is all age groups, from the young to the old. It's moved away from that initial protest that was about the former president's incarceration into clear criminal elements. There are 4 malls around where we are at this very moment, which have all been totally ransacked in the Fort Loris area. In fact, there's a police helicopter hovering above us at this very moment, but I think this is one of the owners. I'm not sure if he's willing to speak to us. Ndomkhulu, just on what's happening, guys. Is this your shop? What's happened?
The shop is a meat place. A long time I'm working in the meat place, so I come here with my boss here.
Okay, what's your boss saying in terms of what's happening here? Are you taking what's left of your goods, and do you know how much has been damaged?
Say more than 10B. More than 10B. Yeah.
Okay, just a quick comment there from the owner here, but I want to show you clearly, Annika, above the roof, we heard that from about midnight till about 3 a.m. they've been burning this shop. In fact, it's what's been happening around a lot of the malls. We've seen 20 arrests at one of the malls, another 4 arrests at another mall, which are all in a 500-meter radius. And the community, of course, not even about Jacob Zuma at the moment. As you can see, young children also looking for something to loot. It's just clear criminal elements that are happening now, and moving away from what the original protests have been about and the cause of the original protest. As you can see, there is security around, but they only run away from police when they come here, South African Police Service. But there was only been one van that we've been seeing visibly at this particular mall, but there are a couple of other vans where we've seen those people that have been arrested. About 24 arrests in these 4 shopping centers at the moment.
Jason, let's just go back to you. The situation overnight, very volatile. We're also getting reports from some of our reporters that hospitals are being affected, vaccination sites and clinics where people urgently need COVID treatment. Are you hearing any of that?
Well, there's definitely been disruptions overnight. In fact, we were driving around yesterday, Annika, and we were around in Saleni and Mpangeni and the surrounding areas there. And many of the communities had been completely blocked off. We went into eNCA at about 11 o'clock last night, and our vehicle was stoned there. The police vehicles that had also responded had been stoned. Many of the public facilities around those areas, they had sustained some kind of damage. community members had been throwing rocks. And I want to touch on what you just had asked Aviwe now about the source of the protest, because we went to another area on the R102, and that was one of the questions that we asked. So what is the source of this? Is this still about these protests that we've been seeing since Friday? And it seems that everyone has their own issues, and the common trend or the way to get around it is just to add that we want Jacob Zuma out of prison. That's the sense that we got while we were on the ground, that everyone has issues around unemployment. Others we went to had issues around water provision and service delivery, and then at the end of it they would just add as almost a disclaimer, yes, we also want the former president out. And I'm not saying that's the same everywhere, but that's the experience that we've had so far.
All right, two of our reporters there, very brave colleagues who are in Johannesburg and KZN, reporting on the absolute criminality, the looting, people just carting off beds, dishwashers, washing machines, television sets, anything they can get their hands on, pharmaceutical goods, the police seemingly unable to control the crowds and absolutely just helpless, standing back.